shine my light. Good afternoon and welcome to Skirtsafire and Off the Page. This is a brand new show at Skirtsafire, similar to ones we've done in the past where we bring different stories and culture and history together and get them off the page and into the theater. So thank you for joining us here today for that. And it's so great to gather here live in Amiskwachee, Wisconsin, also known as Edmonton, which is the traditional and ancestral homeland of many diverse Indigenous peoples who lived here, thrived here, gathered like we are here today, or traveled across this land thousands of years before us, and then signed treaties so that we could all live, thrive, gather, and tell stories like we are here today. So at Skirtsafire, we have a lot of stories to tell, and we strive to build relationship with both Indigenous and non-Indigenous and BIPOC women, non-binary and two-spirit artists, to bring to the forefront underrepresented voices in live performance and exhibits. So that's why we're all here, and we've got all kinds of shows happening in the festival. We're about 4 days in, we got a week to go. We've got Aita by Tennille Whiskey Jack happening in this space. You get to feel part of that design here today. And so it runs another week, and then we've inhabited the old Army and Navy building on White Avenue. We're calling it the Army and Navy Experience, and I know some of you have already been there. It's a pretty cool space with art installations. We've got another music show happening there Thursday, a couple of comedy nights Friday and Saturday. We're filling up Holy Trinity next Saturday with some choir music. We've got singer-songwriters sprinkled through Old Strathcona, along with skirt designs and storefront windows. There's a lot going on. We have a digital program. It was running on the wall in the lobby, but you can also download it with a QR code. So I encourage you to have a look at what else is playing in the festival. But here we are today. Thank you so much for coming here. I want to thank also our sponsors, the Edmonton Community Foundation, the Edmonton Arts Council, the City of Edmonton, the Alberta Foundation for the Arts, the Government of Alberta. If it wasn't for these public funders, Skirtsafire wouldn't exist. Let's give them a big round of applause. Okay, so we've got 3 pieces today. Our 4th one had to pull out, sadly. However, we're going to do a Q&A at the end to take up that time, and I think it'll be a really good chance to meet and talk to the artists. Our first artist being, the first show, it's Francesca Woodman, some photographs, sounds, questions. So Francesca Woodman was an American photographer who lived from 1958 to 1981. This piece enters 6 of her photographs from 1975 to 79, creates soundscapes from 3 of her recurring motifs, and asks questions about the way we suppress our sexuality and how it traumatizes us as young women. Here is Francesca Woodman by Catherine Owen.
What is it to be naked? To be naked and stay there. To clothe oneself only with unfinished shreds of wallpaper, a gauze curtain, a lily's bloom, the air, an imprint in flower, a blur staining the bed, that pale curve in mud, and a wasteland. Don't you see how I've become separated from the world? If asked, Could you state clearly in a court of law that this one is the flower, and that one, that's the girl? Swear on a petal. Swear on my 16-year-old thigh that shimmers softly in the New York sun. All women are museum pieces. And birds. Didn't he own a range of them? Stuffed, beaks stilled, and presented? I'm no different. Flesh in a box, a crouch with one hand pressed and one caressing. The body is the body, prêt-à-porter, we own. I'm just wearing mine inside out. It's either, how much more can I give you? Or why don't you receive what I offer? One love to another, the same extremes. The knife might have sliced me down to the chin, or hacked at this brocade dress until, like Diana, one breast is bared to the dawn. Or has it provided the blood that constellates each one of this string of self-portraits, like awkward laundry hung out in a monsoon? Which tiny version of me do you prefer? The too much girl? The not enough? The clock hand of the knife hangs down. On all fours is the woman pose. I imagine years of my rump in the air, pleasing this and that him. Unbearable to think. Delicious. I have grown into my skin, but this animal crawl is still alien. Shrunken in the mirror, I ask myself, how much are you willing to lose to be adult and loved? When he is your art, all is well, but as man, there are then demands that cannot be translated. Frequently he complains he cannot hear me, that my voice is submerged in the water of my mind. Yes, it all hibernates hard within, and I am often as if woken from a terribly sleepless childhood. Last night, a man wouldn't stop crying, "Why?" in the streets below my brownstone. All I could catch was the innocent blue of his sleeping bag in the darkness of pre-dawn. I have always wanted to be an angel of the saving kind. But even jumping in front of wings and freezing my blurred feathers this way, I do not save. So what is left after this illusion fades? I could fly down to the man, and perhaps his sleeping bag would wrap us in sunrise. fo, wo. Erks, erks, rks, rks, rks. Four, ks, ks, ks. Forks. Mirror. Me, 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 me. Me, 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 me. Me, 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 me. Ear, 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 or, mirror, or, me, 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 or, me, me, row, or, mirror. Chairs. Cha, 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 cha. Cha, cha. Cha, cha. Cha, 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 cha. Cha, I. Cha, I. Cha, I. Air, airs, airs, airs. Chairs.
Do you remember the first time you knew you would fall in love with the wrong person? Do you remember the first reverberations of cold water on your new-to-you clit? Do you remember the first day you got raped and walked home as if it was nothing? Do you remember your first awkward and holy kiss? Do you remember the first moment a man called you baby, honey, sexy thing, or whistled at your young body from a car, and how that made everything different and shouldn't have? Do you remember the first sensation of getting raped and walking back as if it hadn't happened? Do you remember the first instant you saw blood and its constellations in your panties and you were both happy and tragic? Do you remember the first night your body made you feel alone? Do you remember that first morning you looked in a mirror and posed, thinking of yourself as an object? Do you remember when they first called you slut, whore, tease, and how you hated other girls for their purity, how you loved them for the beauty you would never own? Do you remember the first weird finger inside your wetness? Do you remember that first heave of being empty, that first stealing of something you couldn't even name? Do you remember the first day you got raped and walked back like you hadn't been changed at all?